Sony Pictures have confirmed Quentin Tarantino's 9th film will be called Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And it will bring two of Tinseltown's biggest stars together for the first time on a feature film, Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio. The script, which Tarantino said he'd been working on for 5 years, sees DiCaprio as a former Western TV series star and Pitt as his longtime stunt double. Set in 1969 Hollywood, it's based around the Charles Manson murder of actress Sharon Tate. Tate, who was pregnant at the time, was also married to director Roman Polanski when she was killed by Manson's followers at her home. The film has a possibly auspicious release date slated for August 9th, 2019, exactly 50 years after Tate and 4 friends were stabbed or shot dead.
Quentin Tarantino made a surprise appearance yesterday alongside Leonardo DiCaprio on stage at CinemaCon in Las Vegas to talk about his 9th movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. The two were introduced on stage by Sony Pictures chairman Tom Rothman. They then teased details to exhibitors about their controversial new movie set in the 1960s when the Manson murders rocked Hollywood. Tarantino promised that the film would probably be the closest in style to Pulp Fiction that he has made, and that the film would have numerous characters and interweaving storylines in the same manner as Pulp Fiction. DiCaprio also talked briefly, stating that it was possibly the best script that Tarantino had written, which was some achievement given the director's track record. This sentiment was also echoed by the Sony chairman, who said it was the best screenplay he had read in all his 30 years in the business. For a movie that has not even started shooting yet, the hype for this movie is already getting loud. If the goal of this appearance was to create hype, then it certainly worked. On the flip side though, the appearance has received some negative reaction from the Me Too and Time's Up movement. Vogue stated, "How long does it take for a man named in the Me Too movement to be warmly welcomed back?" And his latest movie wildly hyped in Hollywood. In Quentin Tarantino's case, approximately 2 months. There had been rumours also of Sony getting cold feet over the movie due to controversies surrounding Tarantino a couple of months back, and a large budget of $100 million. And there's also Margot Robbie, tipped to play Sharon Tate, who still hadn't signed on for the film. But this appearance showcases that Sony has every faith in the movie. The film is set for release late summer 2019, with shooting starting in June.
Thank you, fellas, for being here. This is surreal. So, listen, I know it's very hush-hush and it's top secret, but there are only about 4,000 people here and the worldwide press. I'm sure nobody breathed a word, right? Yeah. Okay. What do you guys? What can you let us in on? Okay. Well, since we're talking to the hard-working exhibitors out there, all right, that are still offering the theatrical experience outside of the living room, in the theaters, where it belongs, with audience reaction. And as some of you might know, I am an exhibitor too, since I own and operate the New Beverly Cinema in Los Angeles. So I am part of another one. So in 2019, at the end of the summer, August, as they're setting off the last explosion of the last franchise movie of the summer, Sony and myself will be coming to the theaters with the most exciting star dynamic duo since Robert Redford and Paul Newman. Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Now, as Tom quite rightly said,
this world of internet, I mean, there used to be a time in these conventions it actually was inside of the room and it just stayed all inside of the room.
Not anymore, buddy.
Not anymore.
Be very careful.
So because of that, it all is all very hush-hush and top secret and under wraps. So I can't really go into any big details of the story, but what I can tell you is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood takes place during the Hollywood era of 1969. It takes place at the height of the counterculture explosion. It takes place at the time of the hippie revolution, and it takes place at the height of New Hollywood. And during this summer, we will, little by little, street by street, block by block, be transforming Los Angeles into the psychedelic era of Hollywood in 1969. To be prepared for 2019. And in that, what would you like to say?
Well, first
To the good exhibitors out there, Mr. DiCaprio.
it's great. It's great to be reunited with this guy. It's been 20 years since what? The Titanic.
Yeah, and what I want to know is, we both worked on those films, right? How come I look so fucking old? You look so young. What's going on?
You actually look. But no, look. It's hard to speak about. It does.
We know the movie stars.
It's hard to speak about a film that we haven't done yet, that we haven't shot a frame of. But I'm incredibly excited, like I'm sure many of you are, to see another Quentin Tarantino movie. I'm a huge fan of this. Very excited to work with Brad Pitt in this film, and I think that he's going to transport us into a different era. I'm a huge fan of Singing in the Rain, for example. Movies about Hollywood and the backstory and the mechanics of how Hollywood works. And to, as an LA native, being immersed in this era and time, and the way he's going to do it with such incredible authenticity. And I can tell you, having read the script already, it's one of the most amazing screenplays he's ever written, and that's saying a lot because he's done some masterworks in cinema history. So I'm very excited to work on the film, and we're going to do our best job to make it fantastic, and I think we will. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
One of the things that Leo just said here is I'm from Los Angeles too, so I actually grew up in the town. I was actually 7 years old in 1969, so I actually do have a memory of it. And one of the things is, this is actually my first movie that I've done. Jackie Brown was the last movie that took place in Los Angeles. Before that, it was Pulp Fiction. And this is probably the closest to Pulp Fiction I've done, as opposed to a movie that really is a Los Angeles movie, and it deals with a couple of lead characters, but a lot of wild supporting characters that kind of make a blanket throughout the town.
Yeah. And I'm not from Los Angeles, I'm from Baltimore, so I don't know how the heck I got here. But I'm happy about it, and I think it's fair to say I share Leo's point of view. I've done this for 30 plus years, and it is the best screenplay that I've had the privilege to read in all that time. So,
Wow, thank you so much.
Thank you both very much. You guys have mics, I don't have one. If I had one, I'd drop it now.
You got the Steve Jobs mic.
I got the Steve Jobs mic. Quentin, you're the director. Wrap it up for us.
I love movies, and I love movies in movie theaters. They are my favorite place in the world. And I want to thank all of you in Exhibition for keeping the show going on and giving us something to do on the weekends. Thank you very much, and keep that show exciting.
There you go. Well, even the boys to come up with the perfect vision. There we go. That's exactly what Sony believes in too. So, we showed you a lot because we have.
I'm curious about your opinion on one thing. I mean, it seems like it seems pretty clear that Manson is guilty of conspiracy to murder when it comes to Gary Hinman. And it seems like he's guilty of conspiracy and murder when it comes to Shorty Shea. And it seems absolutely like he's guilty of conspiracy to murder when it comes to the La Biancas. But it is unclear, did he send the kids to CeeLo Drive, or did he not? And did they do it on his own and they told him after the fact? What is your opinion?
Well, first off, what the question he's raising is exactly the type of questions that are being raised all about this case backwards and forwards. And I don't want to veer from him, just for instance, there's now a documentary out, nobody really cares anymore, but who really had the Lindbergh baby kidnapped and killed? The father. I mean, it's conclusive. It's more convincing than, you know, so now, this is one of those situations, and for me, there was a couple decades I was just a filmmaker and didn't care about, but when I started studying the law and started seeing all of these different things, now there's lawyers that are, you know, realizing, oh my God, you know, there's a lot to be learned from this, you know, this type thing. So I'll tell you the classic example is a very famous case here, the Mendez case. They wanted to suppress a film that was coming out. That was the two brothers who killed their parents. They had no precedent. I called up one of the lawyers and they went, oh my God, there is a precedent. It actually was my case, well, we went all the way to the Supreme Court. So of course, but then runs into some other legal technicalities called MONEY. And then, you know, they didn't pursue it. But it's like, boy, you start going, if the law, if you had all the money to hire the best lawyer, nobody would ever get convicted. I mean, hardly. So, going back to what he said, that's one of the big ones. One of the big ones. They wrote Helter Skelter on Leno's living room wall. At the Tate House, they only wrote Pig. So, how do we do all of these things? And especially when there are certain words. Oh, I've dealt with this for a long time, but only in the last 20 years since I started checking. They wrote rise on one of the walls in the La Bianca house. Only today, I happened to look up, Googled, Islam is rising. There's the word rise. They wrote rise. It never made any sense. What was the rise for? Now, that wouldn't make any sense, of course, to anybody else, except you start adding black Muslim. Then Sandy Good talks about Islam rising. And of course, when I try to mention some of this stuff on a blog or something, nobody, you know, the sad thing is, everybody thinks the CIA is listening and watching. And you know, as soon as that word Muslim or black Muslim, Battle of Armageddon, that all comes up, you know, then everybody gets scared. Let me tell you something. They can't spell those words. So don't worry about it. I too, that's one of the things we're working on. We're trying to find why the Tate House. And of course the prosecutor also said, hey, Terry Melcher, he was upset, Manson was upset because Terry wouldn't give him a recording contract. Well, you know, boy, I think about it and I said, well, wait a minute. The Beach Boys recorded Never Learn Not to Love, okay? That was a Charles Manson song. So at least, you know, he's starting out and he's, you know, toward a writer or something like that. But did he really get that mad at Terry Melcher? You know, that he would, and then you start going farther and you start saying, wait a minute. If Terry Melcher knew he didn't warn Roman Polanski when he rented him the house, hey, wait a minute. You think a crazy guy may do you some harm because you reneged on a recording contract, and you go and rent, because he subleased it out. He left before left it. So, I mean, what's he thinking? I mean, you don't do things like that. in the state of California now, or then you become liable. Then it comes out that later he was making love with the girls. Well, that could even accentuate, you know, being mad, that type of thing. But you just start adding all of those things in, and like he said, this fellow said, hey, you've got him on the LaBiancas, you've got him on Shorty Shea and another one, I'll give you a better one. Guess what? Leslie Van Houten had 3 trials. On the 3rd trial, because they had hung juries, a prosecutor got smart because diminished capacity was going to be the defense, and she got hung juries. So all he had to do was charge her for another trial, robbery. Because when the robbery goes bad, you have the premeditation, there is no diminished capacity for robbery. And he won. Well, wait a minute, Leslie Van Houten was at the LaBianca house. So how could she be charged and convicted for robbery, and the others were convicted for helter-skelter, the race war? So did one person have one motive and another person have a different motive? And then you could probably come up with 5 more motives. So this is, the point being, this is a case that, listen, you folks have filled the theater after 47 years. Think about that. And you're in a movie theater. But you're in a different percentile than the average person. You know, you use the effort to get up on a Tuesday. And, you know, I don't smell any grass in here, so, you know, you're all straight thinkers. Most except, well,